For us, it all began at Totally Auto and a 950-mile trip to the start of the tour in Cocoa Beach, Florida. From there, it was a 260-mile trip to the South Georgia Motorsports Park. And then day 3 had us heading west through Alabama 250 miles to the Montgomery Motorsports Park. Then 300 miles north to Nashville, Tennessee. Wednesday morning found us on a 350-mile trip up into Indianapolis, Indiana. By Thursday, it was another 300 miles up to Michigan before we hit Detroit and the Long Hauler Awards. At 4:30 in the afternoon, sitting in Detroit, they said it couldn't be done, but we headed our way towards Feasterville, Pennsylvania and Totally Auto. By 5 a.m., we were sitting in the driveway. Hi, my name is Dave Furrow, Totally Auto. This month we're going to take you inside the Hot Rod Magazine Power Tour. The Power Tour is basically a cross-country trip, 3,000 muscle cars, goes north to south, east to west. It's usually around 3,000 miles. They usually get about 3,000 cars. It's just a way of getting your good car out, having a good time, some good friends, some good times. It's just a blast. It's touted as America's greatest road trip, and you're going to find out why now. So sit back, relax, get your favorite beverage going, and enjoy the ride. The tour within the tour, the Mo-Powered Tour. Where else but Florida can you cruise as a cruise ship passes you on a bright, sunny day? We made our way to our first venue and our first traffic jam at beautiful Port Canaveral. We went right ahead to clock in, something you do several times on a power tour, and something the ladies with us may have never done before. While there, we also picked up our hot rod credentials, which we, even for a short time, left on the back of the car. From there, it was the Kennedy Space Center and NASA. Rocket science meets muscle car. That's where we saw something personally I've never seen before. Something NASA calls a rocket garden. Yep, you heard it right. A rocket garden. While half of the Mo-Powered Tour headed towards the Don Gartlett's Muscle Car Museum, a few of us stayed behind for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to drive our Mopars behind the gates at NASA to see what it takes to launch a space shuttle from preparation to liftoff. Giant structures that make up the world's largest launch facility. We got an up-close look at coastal launch pads that unleash the power to put people on the moon and send space shuttles into space. Although we didn't actually see the space shuttle, which is preparing for its final liftoff in 30 years, we did find this. And we got in some really good Florida cruising after that. So we bumped into this, which, well, kind of just made us sick. We did bump into the hot rod guys, but we kind of blew them off and headed for the beach. We asked for assistance, and they did, so we did. A little time in Florida is always well spent. Bill Ewell offered up his 68 Satellite turned 68 446 pack Roadrunner convertible up for duty for a beautiful night out in the Florida evening. Everything was going pretty well and it sounded good, except for this Ford guy who got in our way, but that's another story. Did you catch the ghost flames flip-flopping on Bill's hood? Didn't want you to miss that. A beautiful night out? Yes, but what we really were was on a mission. We were looking for Ryan and the Mo-Powered Tour gang. We also hope to shed some light on this little broken A-body that we found. But those guys had it under control, and we headed for the hotel for some well-deserved rest and the end of day 1. Day 2 had us heading 262 miles into beautiful Georgia. Just something we do on a tour is we try to stay to the back roads, the 2-lane blacktops of America. And it wasn't long before we were joined by a whole slew of Mopars joining the Mopower Tour for this day. From Charlie's Viper pickup to Ron's Superbird and a really sweet little Cuda, we had everything in Mopar, new and old. Even Mike Mead brought out this really cool 6-pack drop top. Did you notice the tinted windows, which are up? Yeah, he's blaring the AC. Way to go, Mike. And then there was this guy. I just don't know what he was thinking. We were having so much fun, but we did eventually make it to the venue, although a bit late, everything was closed. We had about the only Mopars there. So we barely made it to clock in, and we were on our way, beat, hot, and tired, and hungry. We hit the hotel and got a good night's rest before day 3. Day 3 had us heading 250 miles through Sweet Home, Alabama. One of our Mopower Tour only stops was the Wellborn Muscle Car Museum, and by then we had quite the flock of pretty Mopars joining along. Standing inside among the collection of muscle cars and vintage memorabilia that for many years Tim and Pam Wellborn have passionately collected. Look around. The first car these two lovebirds dated in is among this collection. Their deep love of the cars and each other is evident when you meet them. They both share an incredible wealth of Mopar knowledge and passion for the hobby of collecting all that is Mopar. Like this 426 Cutaway, or all of these 71 Chargers. Just look at the memorabilia hanging on the walls. The Wellborn Museum is one definite stop if you're in the area. While we were there, we got this great group shot of all the Mopar guys and gals that were traveling with us at that point. And then it was time we just headed out of Dodge. With Ryan in the lead, we got just a little bit mixed up, as can happen when you're doing a lead vehicle thing. And we wound up with the Backwoods Alabama Junkyard Tour. Turned into quite a comical event, but we did search out some really cool Mopars, some really cool junkyards, and we wound up on this kind of sort of dirt road. Yeah, that's a Viper pickup going backwards, just trying to get out of there. As always, we got our bearings and we headed our way to the Montgomery Motorsports Park. At this point, it was 105 degrees out, and we sat in a traffic jam in the sun. Eventually, we found the Mopar Muscle deal, but all they had in their display was some Chevelle. So once again, we found our way to clocking in and got the heck out of there. Did I mention the iPod A to Z Cross Country, where today we were in the B's with AC/DC's Back in Black? The morning of day 4 was a beautiful one, and we found ourselves heading north 300 miles to Nashville, Tennessee. It was a beautiful day for cruising, and cruising is what we did. Where with Power Tour do you see two of these side by side at speed or a stroked, fuel-injected 68 Charger cruising down the highway. As usual, we got to the venue late, but hey, those Tennessee roads were worth it. Once we got there, though, we were treated to some really cool Mopars. This was actually the first It Wasn't Camaro Day on the Power Tour. Once again, we clocked ourselves in, and once again, we thought we were heading to the hotel, but once again, we were wrong. It seems the Hot Rod magazine Rust-Oleum Roadrunner was dead in the water, so we went over to lend him a hand and get him back on the road. On my left there is publisher Jerry Pitt, and on my right is some radio guy. Sorry, pal, I forget your name, but Hot Rod radio guy. We did leave him a t-shirt, and he was kind enough to put it on his front seat, and those Mopower Tour shirts went like crazy. But that was it for us. We had other plans. The Grand Ole Opry, with Carrie Underwood, the Oak Ridge Boys, and I don't know, 5 other country Hall of Famers I can't remember their names of, but it was a blast. So that concludes part 1 of our Mopower Tour coverage. Next time we'll be taking you up through Indy, into Detroit, and the Long Hauler Awards. So until then, we'll see you down the road.